legend where magic meets the heart. Commander Pod, where the stories unfold, with heroes and villains new and old. Duncan, Jeff, and Sloan got the word. In the world of EVA we play.
Welcome once again to Commander's Pod. I'm your pod father, Duncan.
I'm Sloan.
And I'm Jeff. Once again. 2 times the charm.
So yeah, we had a little bit of problem there, but we hadn't gotten too far in. We were might have forgotten to hit the record button on one of the devices.
Yeah.
We're good now.
We just got to hear Duncan's story again.
Yeah, it was so good.
So
Today's topic, we're going to talk about the top 10 utility lands for Commander. I think it's something that's worth talking about. We've talked about doing it before.
Yeah, we just haven't had a lull. I feel like there's always magic news, so
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of slide in our own topics.
Yep.
Yeah, but these top 10s are fun.
Yes.
But Aggro Jeff is back after a 3-week hiatus.
Yes.
So that'll be good. And we'll have some tales from the table and some tips from Sloan.
Yes, sir.
So let's start off. Aggro Jeff, what's aggravating you today?
Well, I think everybody's going to be able to connect with this too. I think this is one that really drives home. It's one of those things that really just probably aggravates a lot of people. Just gets to them. And that's fake cheese. So like you go to get a nice stick of cheese. You just need some delicious cheese. And it doesn't taste like cheese. It's just oil. I feel like I'm being catfished by whoever's making this cheese. And it's a real problem. I think a lot of people out there can connect with this problem. It's aggravating and frustrating.
So you're talking about that string cheese.
The string cheese, yeah, the fake cheese. This is not good, people. We should not be doing this. Cheese is delicious when you follow the rules of proper cheese. So, which I don't know these rules, although I'm not much of a connoisseur, but maybe I'm on my way to that.
And clearly you're reaching for a stick of cheese. You're not a connoisseur.
Yeah, no, but if I
a
had
stick, as everyone knows, good
cheese
cheese comes in.
Yeah, a good Gouda or something, or
Yeah, it comes
a
in a stick.
Munster or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't come in a stick. No, it doesn't. And that might be information that I need to, have myself. I need to own myself. But as of the other information, I feel like the FBI, CIA, maybe we could reach out to Mossad. They've had some really interesting
cheese-related investigations.
No, but they've done some cool things, and I feel like they could handle this cheese problem. They've handled a lot bigger problems. Maybe not a lot bigger, but somewhat bigger.
Yeah, just a little.
Let's get someone involved in this, though. Who do we got to call? Call your congressman. Call your senator. Yep. Let's get the phones ringing.
Yeah, let's get some real fake cheese in there.
Where's
real
Maha?
Stick cheese.
Where's Maha on this? RFK. We need them involved.
Wow.
Yeah, me getting catfished by the cheese market. So,
oh, boy.
Very weird.
I'm sorry, folks. Anyway, let's move on from Tales of the Table. So the first thing that, so let me start off by saying I was playing at a different shop this week.
Yep.
The shop I normally play at was closed for 2 weeks because they are moving to a bigger location, significantly bigger.
Yeah,
and they have big things planned for it. So
at least he said the shop instead of his shop, which I will tell you in the first recording.
Yeah, the shop I play
He
at.
said his shop, which he keeps doing.
What is
not
my shop?
our shop, the shop.
I was one of their first customers. I'm their favorite, obviously.
I mean,
we give them free endorsement every single week.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Mystic Forge.
There you go.
Port Charlotte, Florida. Anyway, so we played at another shop that's a retro gaming shop. I guess it's only fair to call them out too because so Paper and Pixels is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they're a retro gaming shop and Magic Pokemon shop. So Bryce, myself, and Andrew, famous Andrew, kill him first, folks, played there.
And Bryce is getting pretty famous too. You've talked about him a lot on the show too.
And you've talked about him. He's very good at the rules.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good builder. Gets a little hung up on Gonti sometimes, but that's okay. So the first thing that happened is Bryce had a creature who he wanted to beat me in the face with, and I did not want him to. So I tried to remove it, and in response, he Chaos Warped his own creature. And as is wont to do, the Chaos Warp provided him with that creature back. Now, luckily, it was not still attacking me, but it's just one of those things,
That's wild.
It happens so often. It's 1 in 100. It should not happen as often.
We talked about this last week. They need to figure out a different way to have red have removal besides you getting to flip stuff off the top of your deck because it's just literally the worst removal humanly possible.
Yeah.
It's the most
It's-
red though.
But there's other things that are chaos, like coin flipping or rolling a dice and doing damage equal to the value of like. There's so many other ways you could do it.
What
that's
if they
also
if they
very
did it where
red,
you
but
reveal 4 possible targets and then you roll a die to choose, or 6 possible targets?
But you're giving somebody a free spell that could
Yeah.
be 10 times better.
Yeah.
It's like it's just so.
Or the same, the exact same.
Or
And
the
in
exact same
this
card.
case, it was the exact
In this
same.
exact same card.
Yeah, but it's
just-
amazing when it
it's-
happens.
It's so aggravating. Like
The random
Listen,
number
guys,
generator is
it's,
obviously
it's not string cheese, so it is what it is.
whoever is
Could be
designing
worse.
red removal over at Wizards, be better.
Maybe-
Make it better.
Maybe they're.
I mean, come on,
Maybe
it's
they're
on-
eating string cheese.
It's on.
Jeff, no one cares about your string cheese.
It's on theme though. Look, they have the worst tutor in the game too.
It's true. Whatever. They're just the
They
worst.
have the worst
Some
ramp in
might
the
say.
game.
they're-
Some might say red is the worst.
Yeah, some might say it. Yeah,
All
I
the
guess
3
so.
people here would.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since it has the least amount of game changers.
Yes. Somehow white beat it out. White's whatever.
White is really good now.
Yeah, white's gotten up there.
It's
It's still not good enough
Yeah.
to play mono.
yeah, it's still not a mono.
Not true. I play mono white.
Yeah,
It
but
works.
you play the racist mono white, human tribal.
White humans. Yeah. They are, as things
It's
go,
the
they
Ku-
are.
It's the Ku Klux Klan of
Oh,
magic.
jeez,
Yeah, I
Louise,
don't
this-
lead with that. I
this
don't think this
section
is the
has
direction we want to
derailed.
go.
This is derailed drastically.
But anyway,
I mean, Rick's steadfast leader. He only wants to kill zombies.
yeah, zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Anyway, so the other thing that happened that was kind of fun is last game of the night on Saturday night, and shop's going to close in half an hour. We had played one quick one where I won with Lear, Disciple of the Drown.
Yep.
But I won so fast we had time for one more. We're like, that one took 25 minutes. We should be able to do this one in half an hour. So I pulled out a deck I don't play very often, Jonathan Harker,
Yeah.
who is a mono blue. Tap him, draw a card, exile a card underneath him. Then you have the opportunity to pay 6. If you do, you flip him into an enchantment. The enchantment says you can cast one of those spells for free once on each of your turns.
Yeah.
So you draw cards, you play cards for free, and that doesn't seem broken.
No,
Seems
it's perfectly
fair.
fair. Yeah, I have to pay 6 to flip him. I mean, come on.
yeah. And a color that has like what every counter known to man in it.
Yeah, yeah, all the good ones
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So I was pretty well in hand when they went to remove him, but I already had a few cards under him. So I activated them in response, flipped him into an enchantment. Now their removal fizzles because
Right.
it's creature removal. And when I flipped him, I'm now able to cast Ancient Silver Dragon for free on my turn.
Yeah.
It's kind of a good card.
It kind of good, just a little. But I passed turn. It was fair. I passed turn. They each got a turn. Nothing happened. So on my turn the next time, I swung with him. Got 11 cards. It's average number of cards you might get from him. 10, 11, right in the middle there. Sure.
Sure.
And so then I pass turn again, very fairly, I think, very fairly. Bryce does nothing. And Andrew rightly sees that things are not
Subtle
looking
hit at
so
Bryce.
Yeah.
good. It's not that thing. Andrew sees things are not looking good for them, and
Yeah,
something
clearly.
has to be done.
Yeah. Clearly.
So he says to Bryce, I hope you can back me up on this. And he overloads the Rift.
yes, he does.
And I played a card I had from the very beginning of the game for 2 mana, Narset's Reversal, and said, I don't mind if I do Cyclonic Rift Overload. So Bryce had no answers, and they picked up their cards, which was the right answer because on my turn I was going to cast Enter the Infinite. I had the mana, and then free spell underneath him was Jace
Yeah.
to win the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good win.
Yep, good win.
Yeah. Nothing feels
Worked
worse
real hard for it.
than someone spending 2 mana to do something that costs you 7
Right.
at instant speed and then making it target.
I mean, to
geez,
be
that's
fair
just so
though,
gross.
they didn't draw it out of him.
No?
It's like
Yeah.
sometimes he mentioned earlier that he could flip it in response to them fizzling a spell, but you got to be able to do multiple spells. You got to work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes, 1, people don't always play enough removal, and then 2, people aren't always wanting to work together, which means you just die to the blue player.
Right. Now, Andrew, of the famous, by the way, Kill Andrew First, I mean, that Andrew, I'm sure he would agree that, I mean, Bryce was the weak link there.
Yeah.
You know, Bryce was playing blue as well, and not mono blue, obviously, because he's not that good a player. But, you know, he just didn't have an answer.
We are just firing shots everywhere today.
Duncan's like
With
string
zero
cheese
disregard.
right now.
Oily?
Yeah, oily and unwanted.
Wow.
There you go, Bryce. I got your
taste.
back.
Oh my
I got your back. Next time, kill Duncan first.
Jeez Louise.
Anyway, well, let's move into the main topic since you guys don't want.
I guess it's the main
Since you guys
topic.
don't want to talk about me anymore.
I feel like the main topic is cheese.
I mean, sure.
Oh, man.
So the main topic: top 10 utility lands in Commander. So first thing, I came up with a list of 10. Not that I think is the definitive 10, but just 10 that I came up with
Right.
in what I feel was a quick amount of time. It was like 10, 15 minutes on my own, just kind of what I thought might be the top 10 off the top of my head,
Right.
in no particular order. You guys have some of your own that you've come up with.
Right.
We'll need to talk about the rules. Jeff brought up something that I think is kind of important. But first, we'll discuss what to put on the list, what shouldn't be on the list, and then what order.
Yep.
Okay. But before that, so Jeff's wanted to talk about what is a utility land. Because some things that I was calling out as utility lands, he felt were not, because they have mana abilities.
Right.
To me, if they have a secondary ability, that makes them a utility land. But he thinks anything, am I saying this right? Anything that all their abilities do is create mana of some sort is not utility.
Yeah, if all they're doing is making mana, I don't think that's utility. Because then we'd have to include things in here like
Gaia's Cradle.
Gaia's Cradle, Nithkos, Shrine
Right.
to Nyx. You'd have to include Tree City. And we would have no room for what I would consider actually utility lands on this list. It would just be full of mana generators.
Right. I mean, I would agree with that. I would say when you're talking about a utility land, it is something that has an ability that is not just purely tap, produce mana.
Now, the exception to that would be something like you have on your list too, which I have on my list, which is Phyrexian Tower. Because although all of its abilities are mana abilities, it in a sack deck, which is typically where you're playing,
Right. Aristocrat.
it's a sack outlet. So its utility ability is the ability to sacrifice something. And in that type of deck, you sacrifice something. Gaining the 2 mana is great, but it's ancillary to the fact that one of my creatures dies, and now I get to do other things.
Right. Yeah, which is kind of that. So that was my thought process with the cards that I came up with, and I was thinking about was what are cards that do something that I would say is so impactful that if this card fits in your deck, like it's almost like you got to have it be one of your non-basic land options. That was kind of my thought process behind this, where I'm thinking if this card can fit, whether it's the colors required, again, just pointing out Phyrexian Tower is black, so you have to have it in a deck that can obviously have black in it in order to utilize it. But if I have an aristocrat style deck that has black in it, if I had Phyrexian Tower has to go in it because it's so pivotal because it does 2 great things. It produces double mana, 2 black, and it allows you to also have a sack outlet, which is huge.
And we're going to get into those cards
Right.
too, like
So-
Karn's Bastion and all those that are deck specific. But
Right.
But so I do think that's a good rule of thumb. So if that is the case, then I had Cabal Coffers on my list, but let's take that off.
and Cavern of Souls,
Well, so Cavern of Souls, though,
it lets you not be countered. So I guess we could keep that on there then, because that is a utility.
So the big thing with something like that, with Cavern of Souls, in my opinion, because it is extremely specific, so it's beyond being a color specific, which it doesn't have a color involved, but you'll get what I'm saying here in a second. You actually have to have a creature focused deck and have a tribal creature focused deck to really
not necessarily. I've seen it played a lot in ones
Yeah, you
where
just
they
wanna
just
keep
don't
your
want their
commander.
commander.
be countered.
Like
Yeah,
my
which is true.
Kalia deck, it's Angels, Demons, Dragons, right?
Right.
I have never cast that card saying Angels, Demons, or Dragons. I think she's a human.
Yeah, I think
so.
she's
I always say human.
Right.
So I would think you would play Cavern of
Yeah.
Souls if you're a Mr. Moneybags in just about any deck.
Yeah, that is specifically very pivotal on your commander being able to hit.
Well, no, just not getting countered. So in any commander deck, because, well, I guess there are some commander decks where you don't care about your commander. Maybe.
Well, he's saying being able to hit
in
the
it-
board.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's what
yeah,
I'm saying,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If your commander being on the playing.
I thought
field
you
is
meant like
important.
hit, like attack. Okay, so
no.
misunderstood.
So, but yeah, so I guess we'll kind of start just with some lands that we came up with, and we'll start kind of writing them out and, I guess, voting
Yep.
on what we think should and shouldn't stay. Your
so-
first one here is a banger, 100%.
Well, so Jeff disagrees.
That is
Because
ridiculous.
he thinks some decks it's not that good. So Reliquary Tower. I think it's good in every deck, whether you think you're going to have a ton of cards or not. There are some decks out there that try and force you to flood your hand.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So here's my other argument for it. There are some decks which try to limit your hand size,
Yeah.
and this overrides
Yeah.
those.
My favorite commander, Jingataxius,
Yes.
who has been so wrongfully put on the Game Changers list. If everybody played this card, nobody would care about him.
That's not true because you're still drawing 7.
Nobody would
Everybody
care because they
ignores
get to
that
keep
part.
their hand. But
No.
they worry. The part they hate is getting rid of their hand.
No.
The reason Jin Cataxius is awful for like 3 different reasons. One of those 3 reasons.
Is because Duncan plays it.
Another
the
one-
other 2?
The other reason was because not only does it give him card advantage, it gives you card disadvantage by making you have a maximum hand size of 0.
Yeah, but we're talking about one commander now. The reality
Right,
is
but-
you guys tend to play decks more where this type of stuff is happening to you.
But
Well,
my
so-
point is,
So
it's a defensive land in the sense that people can't really affect your hand size, and it's also an offensive land because if you're playing at a table or you yourself are playing a deck that cares about drawing, because there's a lot of group hug decks out there that want you to draw a bunch of cards and dig through your deck, and this is something where you can kind of abuse the fact that they're giving you those extra cards by not having to ever get rid of any of them, and then you can so the reason why I like Reliquary Tower is because 1, it comes in untapped. 2, it produces 1 colorless, and on top of that, it allows you not to have a hand size maximum. So you have unlimited hand size.
That's
I think
4 things.
That's 3 things.
No, because you forgot about Duncan.
Oh, so me personally, I'm a huge fan of this. If I say at least, 80-85% of decks minimum should probably be running this. It's so good. It's hard to say, hey, do you want to not have a maximum hand size for the entire game?
So Reliquary Tower is good. There's no doubt. It's a great utility land, but it's not 85% of decks. If you're heavy color pips in your deck, it's hard to run too many of these cards that don't create color for you.
I would disagree.
But that's fine. But it's my chance now to make an argument.
Yeah,
you
I got
made-
my counter argument
You
already.
made an argument.
I got my counter argument.
I've cut this out of a lot more decks because at the end of the day, having 7 of my best cards is sufficient. I don't normally need 20 cards. If I have 7 and they're the 7 best out of the 20 cards, it normally gets it done. And a lot of times if Reliquary Tower comes out and I don't have the mana I need in my 4 and 5 color decks. Now I'd say if you're playing 1 color, 2 color, maybe it's an auto include. But past that, you got to start thinking about what utility lands really fit best and whether you have room to allow this in as a non-color generating land.
Duncan, your thoughts?
I think, like you said, I agree with you that it should be. I'm not saying everybody should run it in every deck, but I think more
Right.
people should run it than do now. It is a low dollar amount card. It's $1 or whatever.
I think people do run it a lot, though.
It's a budget buffer for sure.
Yeah.
It prevents things like Winter or Jingataxius or other cards from reducing your maximum hand size.
Yeah.
And if somebody does flood your hand, you don't have to make the decision what 7 to keep. Keep them all. They're all yours.
Yeah, I mean, to counter Jeff's point, a lot of times if you're running those 3, 4, 5 color decks, you have a lot of those artifacts or lands that you have to filter into. You have to pay 1 to get colors out of it. Yeah, a lot of those lands pay 1 colorless, and it fits that great.
If you're
It
running
helps you
those,
get there.
but a lot of
if
people
you're running 3, 4, 5 colors, I hope you're running stuff that can filter colors as you need them, because that's important to make sure you're getting
those
the right colors.
those pay ones have become a lot less popular because it doesn't guarantee you the color. You have to pay into it. And so a lot of times you're stuck in 3, 4, or 5 colors where you're like, okay, I have this color combination, but I have to use one of my colors I need to pay into this one, or I have to use a colorless one, which I'd rather be able to create another color. I play a lot of 4 and 5 color decks, and I'm telling you right now, it's pretty hard to get all your colors. And then remember, it's not just the color of your commander, it's how many pips you have. So if your cards in your deck are running a lot of green, green, red, red, or white, 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 or things like that, it does become more difficult. You just have to take that into account, is what I'm saying. I wouldn't say it's not a top 10. I think it's a top 10. It's probably not my first one.
Okay. Well, since you've said it's a top 10, we can move on.
Last point is commander attacks, always colorless.
Yeah, that's true too.
It will always be good for commander attacks,
Yeah.
which, I mean, that's the same reason why I'd say Soul Ring should be in every deck.
Yep.
It will always be good for commander attacks.
But so since it is in our top 10, we will move on. Do you want to do one of yours, Sloan? We did Phyrexian Tower already. Now we've done Reliquary Tower.
So I would say that.
Well, hold on. Before we do that, let's go back because we did mention our ones. Just get out of the way. Cavern of Souls. Do we all agree it's on the list, or do we want? To...
I would say that should be a top 10 because it can go in any deck, and it is always going to be helpful for casting your commander. Most decks are important to have your commander out. There's very few like Eminence. Mm-hmm. That's the only like real commanders that you're kind of like, I don't care. It can sit in my command zone the entire game.
Well, and Ninjutsu.
Yeah, ninjutsu too. Obviously, Cavern of Souls isn't really going to help you there because you're not casting.
Okay, so we have 2 of our 10 already. Now, moving on.
So, I mean, it was really hard. I know this one's probably going to be controversial. Strip Mine.
Yeah, I mean, so here's my feeling on that.
Right.
You both have that on your list.
Yeah.
It was not on my list.
Right.
The reason it was not on my list is I don't play it. I might have 1 or 2 decks I've got it in.
Right.
I rarely use it.
So so this is kind of my point of there's some cards I feel like that are honorable mentions because they're good in very specific situations. In my opinion, this might be one of those. And the reason why is Strip Mine is only really going to be valuable when you're playing it in a deck against other decks of that same power level, right? So if you're playing in bracket 4, bracket 5 decks, which are just unhinged, CEDH style decks, Strip Mine's very important because it could get rid of someone else's utility land piece, right? That they need for their
Gaia's
deck.
Cradle, Nithcos,
Phyrexian Tower, and Nyx. It could get rid of any number of those lands. And so this one, even though I think it is a very good land and it's very powerful, it's only going to be as powerful as the decks you're playing against.
Right.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just being mean.
Right. Otherwise, you're just being a kind of a jerk. And
the other thing it does, which is a problem, is it basically negatives you and negatives one other player, pushing the 2 other players ahead a land.
Right.
And so in a 1-on-1 game, it's more effective than it is in a 1v. Well, in a 4-on-4, yeah.
Right.
So that's a challenge.
So are we agreeing that one should be an honorable mention?
I think ultimately because of how niche this is and how specific, I think this would have to be an honorable mention. I don't know.
Jeff,
I'd like to see how the list plays out.
Okay, so we'll set it aside for now, but most likely it's an honorable mention. Jeff, what's one you have on yours?
So most of the cards on the beginning list are the ones that I would probably go with because if we're talking about a top 10, I don't know how much we want to go into specific uses. Like if we're going into specific uses, Karn's Bastion's amazing.
I think we're trying to have the most widely accepted list, the one that most people would agree. So not as less specific as you can get.
Right.
I'm gonna go with one that will probably make the list that's not on the one we have here. I'm gonna go with Mystic Sanctuary. Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more islands. A lot of times, it's not coming into play tapped, so it's an untapped land a lot of the time. When Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield untapped, you may put target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. So it's just very powerful.
Right, being able to recast an important instant, and it taps for blue, so you have to have it in a blue deck. Mm-hmm. But you mean if you're playing blue, you're never not going to not want an instant or sorcery back.
Here's the thing, though. My argument is you need 3 islands.
Right.
If you're playing anything more than 2 colors, you're probably not going to have 3 islands.
Well, don't forget there are lands that are considered island forest or island mountains.
There are, but I'm saying your
So,
chance
I
of
mean,
getting all three, more often than not, you're playing those.
I would
two
say,
color
yeah,
lands
once you
that
get to
aren't.
4 and 5 colors, you're probably not playing this. 3, you're probably not playing this, but you might. But 1 and 2, you'd probably play this.
Right.
And you also have to have enough instants and sorceries.
Right,
But let's at least, can we do this? Can we agree to put it on the let's watch
Oh,
list and
yeah.
see how the list
for sure.
plays out?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So another one that I really, really like, Kessig Wolfrun.
Yeah, this is a sick one.
This one is so good. It's red-green decks. You pay X red-green, you tap it, target creature gets +X/+O and trample.
Yeah, until
This
the turn. Yeah,
Until end of turn.
It's a
This-
game winner.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
yeah.
It's a game winner in Wolverine. It's a game winner in. I have a red-green haste deck. It's
Yeah.
won me games in that. It's just so good.
Yeah, it's one of those that
It doesn't
it
get
comes-
enough love either.
Yeah, it comes out and like if you kind of forget about that it's there, it's one of those things where like out of nowhere it's like, I'm sorry, how much did it get?
Yeah.
You gave it 10 and it has double strike and trample. Oh, cool, great. This is so game's over, right? Yeah, game's over.
Yeah.
Because it giving the +X/+0 is pretty decent, but the fact it gives it trample is really what kind of just pushes it over.
Yeah.
Because that will
Sometimes
help a
that's
lot
all
of-
you're looking for.
Yeah,
It's just
some-
trample.
Yeah, and so you could literally just pay 3 into it.
You pay 2.
Yeah,
You don't
just
have
do
to
the,
have it.
Yeah,
X
you
does not have-
technically. Yeah, this is before they started doing the X can't be 0 stuff. So technically, you could just do a red and a green and tap it just to give the creature trample. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to
And
pump
sometimes
anything into
they're
it.
just dead.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would definitely say that this is one that could very easily be in the top 10. Now, the only downside is you do have to have both red and green.
And it's obviously for aggro decks. If
Right.
you're not playing an aggro deck, you probably don't care about it.
Right.
Well, it's for aggro deck and big mana deck because even if you have a 1/1, if you've got 30 mana,
Yeah.
15 mana, 20
it doesn't
mana.
matter.
That's true.
So, but yeah, I mean, I definitely like Kessig Wolfrun. It's one of those I slide into some of my more aggressive red-green decks for sure and have it sitting there chilling.
Yep.
So,
Can I do one real quick? I know we're going to Johnny, but this is
Yeah,
my,
we can go you
my
then,
favorite. This is a card. I probably play this card the most, but Field of the Dead.
yeah.
So
You
that
have
one,
this on your list?
yeah, that one's on my list, and I felt like that was another auto include. Do you
It's-
guys disagree?
No, it's on auto include.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. It's just so gross. I mean, if you're playing a landfall deck, this is like one of the first
You
things.
don't
try.
even have to be playing a landfall deck.
Now,
Yeah.
the drawback is and people forget, you need 7 different named lands
Right.
for this to start.
I
doing
play
it.
this I do play this in my landfall, but it's green blue. And a lot of people are like, how do you play this in a green blue deck? It's really easy as it turns out.
Yeah.
Because there's snow lands, so that gets you a lot of the way right there.
Yeah, that's 4 if you do a
And-
island, snow-covered island,
Yeah.
snow-covered forest. There's
Yeah.
4 right there.
It's not hard at all.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wild.
So, yeah, Field of the Dead's really good. It produces a 2/2 black zombie every single time it or another land comes into play, as long as you have 7 differently named lands. And
Yeah.
I think it counts itself, if I remember correctly.
I mean,
does,
I think this
yes.
is a contender for number 1. But
I think it is too.
we'll get to that later. Sloan, it's your turn.
It's
So-
a contender.
Here's one I think that kind of goes underneath the radar because a lot of people, aren't aware of it. Alchemist's Refuge. It's a land that comes in untapped, very much like Kessig Wolfrun. It's a green and a blue. You tap it. You may cast non-land cards this turn as though they had flash.
So I play
mean,
that card a lot.
It is so gross because, for example, like one of the biggest things I like to point out is it's very rare that you have something that is going to allow you to do stuff at flash speed that people aren't going to try to remove. So, like, for example, Valdelkin Ori is like the big one, right? Well, it's
I
an
play
artifact.
that.
People will blow that thing up so quick because they don't want you dropping
The
stuff.
funny thing is they don't.
I mean, those.
They just let it sit out there.
Yeah. So one of the things that's really cool about this is you aren't going to come across a lot of people doing land destruction. So there's a good chance you're just going to have this.
Hence the strip mine that not many people play.
Yeah, exactly. You're just going to have this the entire game. And you can utilize this for all of your mana getters. So like your sorcery speed, go get a land. You can use this for all of those. So then on your turn, you have all that mana now.
Cast your
out.
mana dork the end of somebody else's turn, so
So
it
he
really
can-
doesn't even have summoning sickness.
Right. Like the fact
Cast
that you can,
your win con at the end of everybody's
someone else
turn,
like
so
yeah
you
it's
can-
just
yeah.
so good, and just for a green and a blue for that entire turn You can cast any non-land cards at flash speed. To me, it's like I don't see a lot of people who run blue-green decks with this in it, and it's like kind of funny to me because it's like, man, like I would absolutely have that in it because it just makes it so much better because it's like I can give up 2 and I get to cast stuff at the end of someone else's turn and essentially gives it pseudo haste. Like,
so one of the ways I use this card, it's kind of fun. When somebody before, on their turn tries to cast something gross,
right,
something that somebody might counter, like Smothering Tithe or something,
right.
And I have a commander and I don't have the Cavern of Souls, right? I sneak it in there right after. If I don't have a response to the Smothering Tithe, I sneak it in after.
Because you know it's safe.
Because I know it's safe because
Right.
I need to get rid of the Smothering Tithe or
I
whatever.
think it's a good card, but I don't play it very much. Typically the decks where I'm like, hey, I want to do instant speed stuff. So like my X spell decks where they come out and they're giant creatures and I want to attack with them. Typically in those decks I'm running, because there's 2 other cards. Vidalcan Orrery's one, and one of them is, I feel like it's a Planeswalker for some reason, but there's another one that gives
There's a Teferi.
Yeah, it's a fairy.
flash to everything.
Yeah,
But there's a
Teferi's white
green
blue.
one. I feel like there's a green one too.
There's a blue
It
creature
gives it
that
to your
does
creatures.
I mean, there's a bunch.
But I play those because
There's a
once
Barracuda that gives everybody flash.
Once you do this twice, you're the cost of a Duncan Orrery, which is unlimited. And so typically, and then the other problem is it's a colorless and it's not a colored mana. So typically this is one of the utility lands that is good, but I'll find myself cutting it.
So I don't cut it, but here's my thing. I don't get it most of the times I want it. If that's the only source of flash that you have, you may not see it. But the thing I would point out to you, Jeff, is like he pointed out, it's harder to remove because it's a land.
Yeah.
Vidalcan Orrery, they can counter it, can't counter this. They
Right.
can use something that destroys artifacts. Most people don't play land destruction.
Yeah, I mean I think that's kind of the nice thing. And the other thing too is, I know you said it only taps for colorless, which obviously if it tapped for color, it'd be way better and probably be a lot more expensive than it is because I think this
Yeah.
is under $1. But
Yeah.
again, even if you don't use it for its second ability, you still have a mana.
Yeah.
So it's still actually producing mana for you too on those turns where you
And it
actually
doesn't
don't.
come in tapped. If it came in
Right.
tapped, I don't think it would be
Yeah,
high as
and that's the cool thing because same thing for Kessig Wolf Run. I think these came out in the same set essentially, but Kessig also taps for a colorless if you don't use its ability. So that's why I like it. It doesn't come in tapped. It produces a mana if you need it to, but then it also has a really good ability that, again, a lot of people don't really pay attention to.
No, so while I agree with all of that, I also think most people don't care about flash.
Right.
I mean, it's good. You can do a lot of things with it, but I think for the most part, there are people that never, ever think about flash. They don't do it. They don't consider it. It's just not something they try and do. For that reason, I do think it's an honorable mention. I did consider this with my list.
Yeah.
I don't know that it can beat out some of the better cards.
Yeah, the big thing for me is just because it's all non-land permanents for that turn get flash.
Can we
which
go
is sick.
through real quick and
So-
just identify a couple of these that we could just move past real quick so people don't think we're crazy on that are like auto includes? Like, do we all agree Urza Saga is an auto include?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
too gross.
Do we
to
all
not be in
agree
there.
that Homeward? Well, I don't know that we'll talk about that. But is Boseiju Who Endures the one that can destroy an artifact or enchantment
That's
or what
a
have
new
you?
channel.
Yep.
Yeah. So do we all agree that that one is?
I
should be
think
in
that's
there?
one of the most powerful lands. In the
I
game.
think so too.
Yeah, it and the other one that's the same thing for blue, Ottawara Soaring City.
I have Ottawara.
So
on my
I
list
do
too.
not think that is as good
It's
because
not.
it is just bounce, not destroy.
But it can be cheap. It can be one blue a lot
It can
of
be
times.
one. Yeah, it can be. But I'm just saying.
Okay, well, we'll come back to Ottawara then.
But
We
I do
agree. We
think-
agree on Boseiju, Urza's. How about Rogue's Passage?
I mean, Rogue's Passage again is hard because it's kind of niche.
All right, so let's agree on Urza's, Boseiju. Let's add those to the list, and then we'll move on to some other ones.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the next one I want to talk about is Boseiju, Who Shelters All. The older brother of Boseiju, Who Endures.
Yeah.
And the thing that I like here, so it does come in tapped. This is one of the few tapped lands that I play regularly.
For shame.
It does cost 2 mana every time you want to do it. But when you use it to cast instants and sorceries, they are uncounterable.
Which is very good, as we saw with Cavern of Souls.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I mean, it's really good. I mean,
It just makes instants and sorceries uncounterable, though, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
And
it's
it costs-
specific decks.
And it costs 2 to do it every time you.
It's
wanna
not
use it.
specific decks, though. There are very few decks that don't play a good chunk of instances.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily want to give up one of your utility land spots to this if you don't have a lot of instants and sorceries. Because remember, you have a limited amount of spots in your deck for utility lands.
Right.
You do have to make choices.
But the thing is here, if you have a limited number, they're probably removal or answers or board wipes.
Yeah, probably.
And
probably
if you
board-
only have
yeah,
a few, you don't. If it gets countered, you may be up the creek.
it's possible.
So it may be very important to make those go off.
Yeah, I mean the only downside about this one, the drawback that is kind of hanging me up a little bit is it basically makes everything cost 2 more.
2 more life.
Yeah, two. So you have to pay 2 life every.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Every time you use it.
2 life is not much of a cost. My only thing is, I think this has a very good chance of making the top 10. Because 2 life is nothing. I'll pay
it's
2
only
life
the 2
all
life.
day
There's
long.
nothing else you have to cycle into it.
Nope.
You have
pay
to
2
tap
life,
it, so
tap
you're
it,
giving
pay
up a
2 life,
mana.
and you get
You're
it.
essentially
Yeah.
paying a mana and 2 life.
Yeah.
No,
'cause-
are you? Or if you tap it and use its mana, then it's uncounterable. Or do you have to tap it to use its ability?
Anytime you tap it to use its mana, it costs you 2 life.
Yeah, that's
If you
absolutely
use
got to
that
be.
mana-
That's got to be in the top 10.
If you use that mana for an instant or sorcery, it is uncounterable.
The crazy thing is, I think I only own 2 of these. But this is a great card.
And they reprinted it in Lord of the Rings.
What does it
under
tap
another
for?
name.
Just colorless?
Colorless.
Okay. That's a very, very good card. I think it used to be expensive, but I don't know
I mean,
if it is
if you want to
anymore.
set it aside for it's on our list, but maybe not in the top 10, that's fine. Jeff and I feel like it is, but if you don't, we can come
Yeah,
back
I
to
mean
it.
it's definitely good. It's just the one sucky thing is a lot of like the really good removal stuff is usually just a color or 2 of a color.
Yeah.
Like your swords of plowshares and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So you're not going
that's
to be able
true.
to
You're
use
not,
it for
you can't
any
use
of
it on
those.
swords, but you can use it on
A lot of your board wipes you can use it for though. 'cause
Beast
most of
Within.
them-
You can use it on Pongify. You can use it
It's true.
on a board wipe.
Yeah.
There's no board wipes that are just color that I know of.
I'm telling you,
Oh,
it's,
prove them wrong.
it's definitely not string cheese, this card. This is good.
So it's just whether you think it belongs on the top 10 or not.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it probably does just because it.
How many cards we got in our top 10 so
That
far?
would make 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
this would be the 6th one that we're saying absolute top 10.
All right, so now I think it's your turn, Johnny. Talk about a
So
card.
so one that I thought was pretty good, and again, this is going to be slightly more niche, but Shizo Death's Storehouse,
Oh, I had that on my list too.
where it's one where you pay a black, tap it, target legendary creature gains fear, I believe, until end of turn.
Yep, that's what it does.
It's really good. I mean,
Here's the thing. Yes, it's cheaper, but it's for black. You have to play black.
It is in a black deck.
And it's fear, which is not unblockable. Rogue's Passage, to me, I'd rather pay 4 and have no chance that there's any blocking.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, and there's definitely the benefit of that. The one thing that I will say though, because fear, I believe, is
Same color or
same
artifact.
color or colorless.
Yeah, colorless.
So, that the advantage is obviously if you're doing it on a creature maybe that someone else doesn't have like that color or colorless to block with, like you're pretty much also guaranteeing you're going to get in. Again, I understand there's a lot of ifs there, but for 1 mana, kind of being able to do it whenever you want to, when you pick and choose you want to or need to, is kind of nice. Or it's the other nice thing is you can force somebody. It's like, okay, I'm going to make you have to block with the creature you don't want to block with in order to stop me from killing you.
That's another if.
Yeah,
If that creature.
but Duncan, you were huge on trample. You were giant. on
I'm right,
trample.
and I'm not saying this is not good. I'm saying Rogue's Passage is better. When
Well,
you're building
this
a
is
deck,
1 mana compared to 4.
except that when you're building your deck, you don't know what colors you're going to play against. What if you can play against 3 other people that all have black in their deck? They can all
No,
block you.
That seems highly unlikely, but it's possible.
I mean, okay, even if 2, that's still 2 players.
It also
who-
comes in untap and it also taps for black.
Yeah, the
Right.
other
Which
big
is
thing is
super
it taps
powerful.
for a color.
It's
Right.
it's
So that's
Rogue's Passes come in untapped as well.
but it only taps for
taps
colorless. So the advantage here is you're getting a pip that you can tap for as opposed to only a colorless.
More
I get too that Rogue's Passage has more of the broad utility of it's just unblockable. It's just 4 to
Let's
commit
put it.
every
Let's
time.
put it on the. Let's put it on the thinking about it
Yeah.
area, because Johnny and I both really like it, but maybe it doesn't make the top 10. I don't know, but it's worth discussing.
Well, I mean, I think we have to figure out, are you guys just dead set that it's better than Rogue's Passage?
No, I'm not dead set. We haven't even
Yeah.
talked about Rogue's Rogue's Passage made the list already.
Well,
No, it did not
these
all-
are the ones that Duncan thought of. And,
Yeah,
and
it's
again,
not necessarily automatic.
All right, well then let's. Do you want to just why do we have to pick one right now?
Because to go forward, what's the point?
It doesn't have to be better than Rogue's Passage. It just has to be better than whatever is number 10.
There's no way that both Rogue's Passage and that will make the list.
100% they could both make the list. Why
Okay.
not?
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
All right, so it's your turn, Jeff.
So I've got one that's interesting. It's it doesn't get a lot of love. It's a little bit of a weird one, but in the right deck, it's quite powerful. But I think it might be too niche. But I'll bring it up anyways. Hall of the Bandit Lord. So Hall of the Bandit Lord comes into play tapped, and then you tap, pay 3 life, add 1 mana to your mana pool. If that mana is spent on a creature spell, that creature has haste. Now, the other one that I'm going to put with that, which might be an upgraded version of that, so maybe this one makes it, but it can only go in red decks. So I'd say for like red decks, this beats it. Arena of Glory enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain. So it probably doesn't enter tapped. And then red, tap, exert Arena of Glory. Add red, so you're getting extra mana. If that mana is spent on a creature spell, it gains haste until the end of turn. Now, the problem is you're going to exert this land, so you won't get to untap it on your next upkeep, but you already got the red from that, and it gives your creature haste. So certain decks like Kalia, who want to come out quick and do their thing, this is very powerful. Aggro decks would love this.
I think I would, if I had to choose between the two, I would pick Hall of the Bandit Lord because it is good for any deck.
Right. And
Yeah.
if you have red, you just use both if you need it, because I do.
Yeah, I mean, so the red one is definitely interesting. The exert mechanic. Technically, you can have a way to force untap it. You can still get to untap it. It just can't untap at your untap step. So that is kind of cool. But yeah, the one that the colorless one that can go in any deck, like that one definitely, because of the utility of I can just put this in any deck I want, is
Yeah, and
very
we
nice.
talked about using the flash to bring in your stuff at the end of someone else's turn.
Yeah.
With this, you don't even have to do that. You can drop your crazy, nutty threat and just go ham on them.
Yeah. So I mean, I definitely think that is
So,
a good one.
which do you think Hall of the Bandit Lord's better?
I would say Hall of the Bandit Lord, just because it can go in any deck. You're not locked to a color.
Okay. I am not convinced it's top 10. If you two are, I could be.
I don't know that I
don't
am
play
either.
haste as much as most people, so
I'd like to get as
Yeah.
many, get these in a list, and then we'll sort of argue about it.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need haste to cast instances.
So, Duncan, do you have another
to
one?
counter people's
Of course
stuff.
I do. So I have Homeward Path. Homeward Path taps for 1 colorless. It does not come in tapped. Each player gains control, or you can also tap it. Each player gains control of all creatures he or she owns.
Yeah, that's a good
There's a lot of steel decks, a lot of cast from your deck decks.
Especially at your shop,
Yeah. Well, no, just in general. They've made
at Duncan's shop.
4 Gaunties. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, those
literally-
people are taking my cards all the time.
Yeah.
Duncan's really nice. He's like, dude, don't do that to Jeff's cards. He's very sensitive. And then I cry, and then they get the point.
It's mainly because we don't want to hear him talk about it the next day.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not because
It's
we actually care about Jeff.
self-preservation.
Yeah, it's self-preservation. It has nothing to do with Jeff.
That's fair. It's probably true.
No, I mean, yeah, this is a really hard one to not say because of the rise of stealing mechanics that have been going on in Magic. This is a hard one not to want to include in most of your decks because of the fact that, again, it can go in any deck. It produces colorless mana, and it kind of helps get rid of that person that's trying to, because again, the other thing is this can be done at instant speed.
Yeah.
So if someone is going to, I don't know, try to kill somebody with your commander or their commander, or they're trying to kill you with your own commander. No, I'm not gonna let that happen. I was gonna let you swing at somebody else. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
like
let you swing
insurrection.
at me, though. Yeah.
Nah.
Yes.
Like,
You know,
what?
so this is definitely one that's up there for me for sure. I mean, I could see this being on the top 10.
The only problem with it, though, is that it's giving back everybody their own stuff. So I've seen
Right.
many times where this like things like this go off, and you're like, oh, crap. John doesn't have it now, but Joe has it.
Well, yeah,
so the
you
thing
have
that's
to-
really terrible is just that another person I don't want to have it, because a lot of times those steel decks, right, they're stealing stuff and casting them out of your deck.
You have to use it responsibly. If somebody
Yeah.
has one of your things and 4 of somebody else's, that if they get it, their commander is now 10 times better, don't use it.
So the problem is I see logically, like in my head, how this is an amazing card, but it's hard for me to want to put it in the top 10 because I literally play it in 0 decks. I fully admit that might be a mistake.
Especially
But
how
I don't
you've been seeing
know.
the games go.
Yeah, I don't know though, because I don't play it, and I don't know that it.
I don't play it
hurts me
enough,
that
but I
much.
know how good it is. I can also tell you a good indicator of how good it is. Bryce wants it banned because it affects Gonti so much.
One guy wanting it banned.
I'm just saying because it affects Gonti and those steel decks
Mm-hmm.
so much.
Yeah, I mean, there has been a crazy uptick of steel decks for sure.
I mean, but that's the meta. I don't know if is that true out there
yeah,
in the world?
it just is.
Yeah,
all of Thunder Junction was like that. It wanted to steal all your stuff.
Okay.
When they created, I think there was Aether Drift stuff that was stealing stuff. Like,
So
Caverns
if
of
you guys
Ixalan,
are
the
that
Pirates
strong
deck.
on it, let's
Yeah,
go ahead and put it
Pirates
in the
deck.
top 10. We're at 7 now, right?
yeah, if we ought to include that one, we'd be
Okay.
at 7.
Yep.
So who just
Sloan, do you
Duncan
have
did
any
that
more?
one?
So this one kind of couples with Phyrexian Tower. So this one's a little bit better because it can go in any deck. It's high market. So you tap it, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, or you can tap it, sacrifice a creature, you gain 1 life. This one, because of the fact that there's a lot of decks now, specifically Tarkir, I'm going to bring up because it just came out. Zurgo. He creates a bajillion warriors that are going to be sacrificed at the end of your turn.
Get some use out of them.
Yeah, get some life out of them, and on top of that, the ability says if this creature is attacking and it dies, you get to draw a card. If you have to sacrifice it and it wasn't attacking, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. So if you want to specifically draw a card and no one blocked it to kill it, you can do it after it's done its damage in the attacking phase still, when it's still technically attacking, to gain a life and draw a card.
Right.
So, and again, because this is colorless, you can put it in any deck. It's really good. Obviously, in Aristocrat decks, it's going to be phenomenal. I have a free sack outlet once a turn, and it's going to gain me a life, plus do all the other nasty stuff that's going to happen when I sacrifice a creature.
I just don't think sacrifice outside of Aristocrat is something most people care about. Gaining 1 life,
Yeah, it's not, again, gaining the 1 life isn't like world-changing, but it's just...
This should actually go on the list of utility specific to theme decks, because like
Right.
Karn's Bastion would be on there. We talked about before. This would go on there, as we said. Phyrexian
Right.
Arena would,
Phyrexian
Tower would go on there, but like not for the top 10 general.
Right, and that's why I said it's probably not going to make it in the top 10 just because it is a little bit more specific, but because it is colorless, it can go in any deck.
yeah, it is definitely worth an honorable mention. It is a good
And
card.
I will say, too, if, let's say, someone's trying to homeward path and get back their stuff that you control, well, I'm going to at least kill one of the things before you can get it back.
Yep. So there you go, Bryce.
Yeah.
Good inclusion for you.
Yeah, there you go. So you can sack something to keep someone from getting their thing back when you steal it, if it's a creature, obviously. So, but yeah, that was one that I thought it's really good. It's super, again, in the right deck, it's just super powerful.
Jeff, did you have another one?
Yeah, so this one's a little interesting. I don't know how it's going to end up going out, but it's called Vault of the Archangel. So it's comes in untapped. It taps for a colorless. You pay 2, a white and a black. Creatures you control gain Death Touch and Lifelink until the end of turn. So sometimes when you have these onboard triggers like this, and you can hold back mana, you don't even have to use the ability. So especially if you have other things to do with your mana on other people's turns, you can let it go around the whole turn cycle. You didn't have to use it, right? Because they stayed away from you because they know you can give your stuff Death Touch. So they're like, I don't want my stuff to possibly die. At the end of the turn cycle, you play whatever card you wanted to play. You still get your value. Whether it's putting mana into something to draw cards or whatever it might be that you're able to do. And then when you do activate this on an attack, you can gain a lot of life and kill a lot of stuff. And it can be quite powerful.
I do think it's good. I did. This is another one I did consider when I was making my list. I don't think it's top 10.
Yeah, I'm not sure it is either, but we do have 3 slots to fill, so.
Yeah, I do think it's good. I don't think it's top 10. I think we already have better cards available to us.
Right.
But definitely honorable mention.
Yeah, for sure.
So what else have you got, Sloan?
I think that's pretty much it for the most part. The only one I could think of was Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth, but again, that's just because it turns everything into swamps, which is super helpful, especially in certain decks where you're doing like a Cabal Coffers Urborg combo. But again, we took off Cabal Coffers because it's very specific.
Yeah. And I the reason it was Cabal Coffers and not Tomb of Yawgmoth, that I want to bring this up. Tomb of Yawgmoth is the enabler for Cabal Coffers. It costs more.
Yeah.
So people give it more love and consider it a better card, but really, Cabal Coffers is the one doing the job there. Without that, Tomb of Yawgmoth, I think far less people would play it.
Yeah, I have one more that we could talk about real quick. Command Beacon.
Yeah.
So this is one I'm glad you brought up. Yep.
Comes in untapped, taps for 1 colorless. Tap, sacrifice Command Beacon, put your commander into your hand from the command zone. A lot of times we have those decks where they really depends on our commander. I can think of my Reese the Redeemed deck where he only costs 1 green. I mean, I think you guys, we've played multiple games where you guys have killed him like 10, 11, 12 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
So
It's a hobby.
Yeah. Yeah. So
His non-elf
this
deck.
is very powerful in a deck like that where you can just, I'm going to avoid commander attacks.
Yeah, I like this card. It's really good. If somebody's played Drannith Magistrate, gets you around that.
Right.
If your commander tax has gotten too high, it gets you around that. There's just a lot of things. If you're paying Phage the Untouchable, this is the only option you have to cast your commander and not lose the game.
Yeah.
That's a very specific one, but I'm just saying I like Command Beacon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think, again, because we're talking about commander-specific, utility lands, it's hard to not have, Command Beacon in commander utility lands.
Now, I will tell you, the times that I've used it are very few. But that's the thing with utility lands that everybody needs to know. Is sometimes you just don't need them.
Yeah, I mean,
But when you need them, you need them.
Yeah, it's sometimes, with some of these, it's sometimes just the threat of having it is enough to.
Sometimes,
Yeah, it's enough to deter people, and it's actually doing its job.
All right, so you want to give us our list of possibilities?
So our list of possibilities is Mystic Sanctuary, Otawara, the Floating City, or Soaring City rather, Alchemist Refuge, Shijo Death Storehouse, Hall of the Bandit Lord, Homeward Path, Command Beacon. The ones that we currently...
You forgot about Rogue's Passage.
Rogue's Passage, I'm sorry.
And Keswick
because
Wolfrung.
Rogue's Passage and Keswick Wolfrung are over here. So those two are also potential top 10. So the ones that we have locked in for sure that are going to be in the top 10 are going to be Reliquary Tower, Beseiju Who Shelters All, Beseiju Who Endures, Field of the Dead, Urza Saga, Cavern of Souls, Homeward Path. So we're at 7. So we have 3 spots left.
So does that say Homeward Path? Could you take that out?
Yeah, because you.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We actually put Homeward Path in.
So if I'm getting to say which one I think is the most powerful, or the couple of the most powerful here, so I'm probably going with Otawara and Mystic Sanctuary.
And I think it's Keswick's Wolf Run and.
Well, Keswick
Rogue's
Wolf
Pasture.
Run is already in the top 10.
No,
No,
it's not.
This is.
Oh, it should be. I'm with Keswick. I'm good with Keswick.
So Keswick. So we
unless
have
someone
2.
disagrees, we have 2 left.
We have 2 spots then. If we're
My top
including
out of here
Keswick.
is probably Otawara.
Again, Otawara can be very cheap, but it only bounces to the hand. We already have Beseiju that destroys.
Yeah, but doesn't Beseiju destroy certain things?
It's artifacts or enchantments, I think.
Yeah, so it only hits certain things.
I mean, my choice is still Otawara as the one.
Well, we have 2.
I know, but I'm
Okay.
not being greedy.
Well, what's your other one that you recommend? Because we need to kind of figure out all of them.
Beseiju
Hall
can
of
also
the-
do non-basic lands.
Hall of the Bandit Lord, probably.
Yeah, I mean it's so hard to pick because, again, I'm trying to think of in the broad scheme of things. If I
Okay, well, let's try and take things out then. Command Beacon. I think it has a place in the top 10, possibly.
Yeah, I mean it's really hard because it does get around a lot of stuff that kind of shuts off commanders. It helps a lot.
Alchemist Refuge and Shizo's Death Storehouse are good, but I don't think they're as good as the others.
I agree with that
Yeah,
statement.
it's just they just because they're too specific. I think we can't have them be in the overall top 10.
Yep.
So now we have 3. We just need to cut one.
Rogue's
Well,
Passage
no, we
is
have
still
4. Mystic Sanctuary, Odawara, Hall of the Bandit Lord, and Command Beacon.
I would argue Mystic Sanctuary falls into the same issue with Shizo and Alchemist Refuge, where
All
it's
right,
only
so
as
cut it.
useful
Now we're down to 3.
in like the 2-color decks.
We're down to 3.
Well, we
Odawara.
also have Rogue's Passage over here too, which is chilling.
I'd put. Okay, well let's deal with that real quick. I think I would put Rogue's Passage in.
Again,
4 is a lot.
Right. The only reason why I think I wouldn't put it in top 10 utility is because 1, the cost, and 2, it's one creature becomes unblockable. So again, that kind of makes it fall in the niche category where you want this one like
In the deck, you want it. It might
But-
be
but
the most
yeah,
powerful
it is
card.
by
but it
far.
definitely
Okay,
doesn't
well,
go
if
in
that's
every
the
deck.
argument, haste should not be on the list either then. Because that, again, is one creature. I would
What are you
rather
talking
have
about?
unblockable Hall of the Bandit Lord. I would rather have unblockable than haste.
But I mean, again, jeez Louise.
Yeah,
that's
but you're
so
not paying
hard.
4 for it. So let's say you play your big threat, right, that costs 9, 10 mana or whatever. I'm going to kill you on my turn, and now it has haste.
Yeah,
Like,
because
you're not paying 4 for it. The 4 is a problem.
The thing with the Rogue's Passage too is if your creature doesn't have haste. For example, his argument is I can now make this creature an immediate threat. Rogue's Passage is if it doesn't have haste, I have to wait an entire turn before it becomes a threat.
And they know it's a threat because you
Well,
have
there
Rogue's
are other
Passage.
ways to get haste, but yes, you're right, assuming we're only using lands.
Yeah.
However, how many times have you had a big creature, right? And then you want to swing, but they have Death Touch? Or how many times you have your commander who you get something if you hit them, or another creature where you get something if you hit them, you just can't get through and you really want to. You need to get through.
Yeah, but I don't know.
They're both good. Remember, we're making a decision.
Yeah,
What's the best? Tough decision.
Yeah, my argument, it's just 4 mana is so much to commit. It's so hard to say there's nothing else I can do for 4 mana to get this guy through. There's nothing, like nothing at all. Like there's other like, and I get it. We're trying to focus on lands, but part of the land is there any other way in my deck to make this happen? If you're playing a deck that's so focused on a creature getting through, you probably have 10 to 12 other
All right,
ways to
how
get a
about
creature
this?
through.
Rogue's Passage and Hall of the Bandit Lord make it in. That rounds out our 10.
I mean, that would round out 10.
So I just have to choose myself between Odawara, which I think saves your behind a lot of times. But
Again, it is bouncing and it's color specific. You have to be running blue. The advantage of Rogue's Passage is it's not color specific.
all right,
The
we'll
advantage
go
of
Hall of the Bandit Lord and Rogue's Passage. I can live with that. And then, as you guys heard, we have the honorable mentions here as well. Also, if we could take a second beyond the honorable mentions, there were some ones we talked about specific to game styles. One of those that was really cool that I talk about, Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle. Have you guys heard of this one?
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, I heard
what it is off
of.
the
I
top of my
talked
head.
about 2 hours ago with you.
Yeah, you did.
No, I
But
knew about
Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle, enters the battlefield tapped. Whenever a mountain enters the battlefield under your control, if you control at least 5 other mountains, which is hard, you may have Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle, deal 3 damage to target creature or player. So, in red, once you get to 5 lands, you're destroying a creature every time you play a land,
Yep.
which seems
But we're
nutty.
getting a little bit off topic because we still have to pick what order these go in.
Oh, we do?
Yes.
Louise.
That
So
is-
it's easier than you think. I think Field of the Dead is number 1.
Okay, I could agree with that.
Cavern of Souls might be the other competitor.
Okay, I can agree with that.
You just want to agree to end it.
No.
I would personally, I would put
I really
Cavern
want
of
a
Souls.
cheese
I would
stick.
put jeez Louise. I would put Cavern of Souls over Field of Dead mainly because Cavern of Souls is going to be online immediately compared to Field of Dead. You have to get there first.
Right. Okay, I can agree with that. So
Okay.
Cavern of Souls is our number 1 overall utility land for Commander. Number 2 is Field of the Dead.
And then Urza's Saga.
I think that's fair.
I would agree with that. So 3 is going to be Urza.
And then I'm going to go
I would say
Boseiju.
Boseiju who endures.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just so good.
Then,
Yeah, I wish I had one.
I mean, I'm kind of loving Who Shelters All at this point.
Yeah, I mean that one's really
Let's
good.
go Boseiju, Boseiju. Boseiju.
Please don't.
Oh, we're going to sing a song.
Kessig Wolf Run, I think, among the ones that are left, is probably the most powerful.
So this is
So-
going to strike you guys as funny because I argued against Reliquary Tower, but not against it being in the top 10. I just didn't want it to be number 1. I actually think Reliquary Tower should fall there.
Okay.
I think that's a good.
Yeah,
I think that's a
I'm
good
okay with
placement
that.
too.
But then Kessig, I think, has to go next.
We've got, what are our choices?
Hold on, I'm trying to cross them off so we can see. Urza Saga's done.
Hall of the Bandit Lord,
So-
Kessig's Wolf Run, Homeward Path.
And then Rogue's Passage.
Rogue's
So what
Passage.
which one did you just suggest?
He said Kessig. Wolf
Yeah,
Run.
let's go Kessig.
Kessig.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a game winner.
And then do we have one that we know is last? I think Rogue's Passage
I would
is
put
last.
Rogues probably at
Probably
last.
because of the cost.
So go
Yeah.
10 on Rogue's Passage, and then we just need to figure 8 and 9. And 8 and 9 is between Homeward Path and...
I think it would be Hall of the Bandit Lord,
Hall-
then Homeward Path.
All right, I'm good with that.
Because
'Cause I
haste
don't-
is
I don't
more
really
important
like
than...
Homeward
It's got to come
Path that
up.
much.
Haste is more often useful than getting your stuff back.
All right, I feel pretty good about that.
So one more time for posterity.
Alrighty, so top to bottom,
Or let's go 10 to 1, because that's
Yep.
the way you do a top 10.
coming at number 10 for the Commander's Pod is going to be Rogue's Passage. Number 9, Homeward Path. Number 8, Hall of the Bandit Lord. Number 7, Kessig Wolf Run. 6, Reliquary Tower. 5, Boseiju, who shelters all. 4, Boseiju, who endures. 3, Urza's Saga. 2, Field of the Dead. Number 1 for Commander's Pod, Cavern of Souls.
And I think most lists I've seen have Cavern of Souls number 1. So that's
It's so hard not
It's
to
also
say.
the most expensive card on that list.
yeah, right.
And I think the
Field of
second
the
most...
Dead, Field of the Dead,
Field
I
of
think
Dead's
is
up
right up
there.
there.
It's the 3 most expensive are Cavern of Souls, Field of Dead, and Boseiju, who shelters all, I believe.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Those are the most expensive ones. Hall of the Bandit Lord, $16. I
Urza
suspect that's
Saga
because
was
of
like
reprint.
30 for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, Urza Saga is expensive too. That's
Yeah.
true.
But it's gotten down a little bit because
Yeah.
they did reprint it. But so that's a pretty good list. If you think you have some better ideas, or we missed something, or you disagree with our order, cast at commanderspod.com. Let us know.
And which one of these are game changers? Field of the Dead?
Yep.
Is that the only one, or is
I
Urza
think-
also a game changer?
I think Boseiju, who
Endures.
is
Yeah,
a game
it is.
changer. Urza
Okay.
Saga is a game changer.
Yeah, I believe it is too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these are going to be on the game because they're good. They're on there for a reason.
But so tips, what you got for us?
Yeah, so I got an interesting one that kind of came up at the shop 2 weeks ago, so I wanted to bring it up.
At Duncan's shop?
At Duncan's shop, specifically Duncan's
Yeah.
shop, only his shop. No one else goes there except for him and who he allows. It's a exclusive club.
Yep.
They serve string cheese.
So this is twofold. So the first part is copy spell and cast a copy of the spell are 2 different abilities.
Yes.
And they matter for a very specific reason, which Duncan will tell you is important for our Commander League because it has come up multiple times now. So there are certain spells that you can cast them, and I'll just give you a couple, and it says copy target spell. You don't cast it. There's no cast triggers that are happening if you do this. You're just getting to copy the spell. So Reverberate, Narset's Reversal, and Display of Power are all cards that specifically say copy instant and or sorcery. You may choose new targets for the copies. So
Yep.
you're just copying the spell
And
as it is.
You're like, why does that matter?
Yes. So the reason why that matters is because there's an ability called Storm.
That's one of
Ah,
the
yeah.
reasons.
Yeah. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Storm very specifically has the worded text of, let me read it here. I want to make sure I get it right. I don't want to say it wrong for everybody. So the actual wording is, when you cast this spell, copy it for each other spell that was cast before it this turn. If the spell has any targets, you may choose new targets for any of the copies.
So here's the other thing about that, though. Casting a copy is still not casting a spell. So even for the cast a copy does not trigger Storm. It has to be a spell card.
Right. So the thing is, when you go to cast something with Storm, if you copied it or you're casting a copy, it does not count towards the Storm count
Right.
to increase the number. However, if you're casting a copy and you have other things that trigger from something being cast,
Yeah.
those still do trigger.
Right. As long as it says if a spell, if it says if a spell is cast, it still won't count if a copy is cast. More often, the thing you're going to run into that matters is targeting.
Right.
When you copy a spell instead of casting a copy, you do not get to reselect the targets unless it specifically says you may reselect. That's why
Yeah, you
they
may
always
choose new
say
target.
that.
Right. And so for the sake of this, whenever you go to do, because in Tarkir, they came out with some new cards that use the storm mechanic,
Including enchantments.
including an enchantment, which, by the way, whenever you copy an enchantment, it becomes a token.
Right.
So
Whenever you copy any permanent spell.
right, whenever you copy any permanent spell, it becomes a token. But the big thing is to remember that those do not count towards the total number of spells cast because they technically are not being cast. You're copying it, or even if you're casting a copy, does not count towards the storm count.
Right.
So just make sure you're paying attention to that because it can go from you killing somebody or you not actually killing somebody because you did it wrong.
Right. And also, you're
So-
like, they swords to plowshares. If you have some copy that does not say you may reselect targets, you're like, oh, yeah, well, I copy that. Oh, you're going to kill your creature too? Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, because if it does not allow you to retarget, it is
Well-
you're just making it copy and target the same
In that
exact
case,
thing.
they're just choosing not to gain life. No, because you would still gain
You'd
life.
still gain life.
You would
You're just
be
choosing to
technically
waste
doing
your
it to
card.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not killing me. I'm killing you.
Killing me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's
So,
like quitting before you're fired.
but yeah, so the creating a copy and casting a copy are two different abilities. There are specific cards that say you may cast a copy compared to cards that say you may make a copy of a spell.
Yeah.
And they do different things depending on what you have out in the field. So just be mindful of when you're doing that. Like I said, Storm's something they brought back in Tarkir. Just want to make sure you guys are doing it
Yeah,
right.
be mindful. That's good with May the 4th be with you this weekend.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, we're recording on Revenge of the 5th. So
that's right.
Is that a thing now, Revenge of the 5th?
Yeah. So the one I've always seen.
Never heard
is
that.
There's always a bigger 5th, and then Revenge of the 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There's always a bigger 5th.
Yep.
I like that one. So.
Yep.
But that's it.
Yeah,
That's your pro
a good,
tip.
That's a good one because people do get that wrong.
Yes.
But thank you guys for joining us this week. Really appreciate it. We hope you liked our top 10. You can always email us, cast@commanderspod.com, like I said before. You can always find us on youtube.com/commanderspod. You can find us on all the streaming audio book, podcast services.
Yep.
So you can check us out there. If you want to support us, patreon.com/commanderspod. We really appreciate it.
Please and thank you.
We're trying to upgrade equipment. We're trying to have a better quality product for you guys. We got some stuff planned for the future. Some
Should
recording.
they start hitting the like button too? Right
That
here?
would be great. The like
it's-
button,
it's
the
usually
subscribe
here.
button, the
Like and
subscribe button.
somewhere
Yeah,
here.
yeah. You guys are putting a lot on me there, but we'll see what I can do.
It's
Yeah, there will be like and subscribe somewhere on this video at some point, maybe at the end. But anyway, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you next time.
And remember, eat more cheese.